What's going on, gang? So, last night I actually saw Captain America: Brave New World. But yesterday was Valentine's Day, and I have a special someone who is more important than YouTube. Sorry, not sorry. They were here before I started doing YouTube, so they deserved time and attention yesterday. But I did write down everything, take some notes. So this is going to be my second movie review after one of them days. Yeah. And I have the format down already. First section is going to be spoiler free. Second section, I'm just going to let loose. I'm going to give you a spoiler warning, but I am going to talk about everything in this film in this video. So let's start with probably look like a light-skinned lumberjack right now. Let's start with the synopsis. I have IMDb pulled up as a cheat sheet. Don't judge me. So, Captain America: Brave New World. Sam Wilson, the new Captain America, finds himself in the middle of an international incident and must discover the motive behind a nefarious global plan. All right. Right off rip, right? I mean, I try and stay away from spoilers. Scrolling on YouTube can be treacherous when you're trying to avoid spoilers. And already on Thursday night, I was seeing people's reactions posted when the embargoes went up. I was seeing is it as bad as people say? Does it suck? Why it sucks? Is it as bad as the internet says? Kinda. I mean, when I wrote my ideas down, it was at a 51% on Rotten Tomatoes. Today, Saturday, February 15, 2025, it's at a 50 on Rotten Tomatoes. But the IMDb score went up, which is interesting. It's at a 6 out of 10. It's not great. And I'll get into my reasons why. But it's also not awful. It's not as bad as people are making it out to be. I think people who are really just trying to pile on to a not good movie are either tired of seeing comic book movies altogether, tired of seeing Marvel comic book movies, or maybe just want to get clicks or push some sort of agenda or whatever. I'm going to try and be as objective as possible, which is an oxymoron because I'm biased. And I'm gonna have my subjectivity, my subjective opinions and whatnot, but whatever. Point is, okay, so let's get the biggest thing out of the way. I wanted to like this movie because I'm black. I wanted to like it just for the fact that we got a black Captain America. I mean, he was black in the comics. We got a couple black caps in the comics, which I will go over. But I wanted to like it. It's Black History Month. It's already more than halfway done. And I wanted to like it. But I have to be honest, right? Just because something is black doesn't mean I'm going to like it. That's not how my brain works. That's not how I work. I get why people do it, just not me. So, whatever. It honestly feels like a studio cash grab, and they're trying to cash in on blackness. And I say that to say, when we were driving to the movie theater and I pulled up and I saw all these beautiful black families outside of the theater, a whole bunch of kids, and just there was a lot of black people out and about, and it was beautiful to see. And of course, they were all going to see Captain America. And then it dawned on me. I'm like, oh, they really dropped this during Black History Month And I guess they were maybe hoping for a repeat of the Black Panther effect, but the Black Panther effect was a completely different cultural movement. First of all, Black Panther in and of itself was a good movie. And the want for a Black-led superhero film was so real that people bought out theaters, and it was a community thing. The Black community showed up in droves for Black Panther. And I think that Marvel, Disney was actually hoping for the same thing. But nah, man, like it's all fine and well if you're going to put out a good movie, right? If you're going to put out a good movie that's well written with a clear plot, a clear message, a clear motivation for our characters, then that's one thing. But just to put out something because it's Black and be blackety black, black, and I'm blackety black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all. Like, nah, no, sorry. So let's get the good things out of the way first. The things that I enjoyed about the film, because there are things to enjoy. I didn't absolutely hate it, right? One of the things that I did enjoy was the cinematography. The cinematography is nice. This was directed by, hold on, I have the cheat sheet pulled up. Julius Ona. I hope I'm saying this person's name right. The cinematography deserves to be touted because it was good. Who was the cinematographer, videographer on this? They also need to be shouted out. Kramer Morgenthau is the director of photography for this. Okay, he was a cinematographer on Chef, Game of Thrones, Creed 3. Okay, so that makes sense. The camera work is dope in this. We have a lot of good shots in here. From the very beginning, I thought was dope. Like, we open on Harrison Ford's Thunderbolt Ross, and he's kind of like pumping himself up before he gives a speech, and it's a side profile kind of shot where it looks dope, and then we transition into like an overhead shot as he's walking out of the display that you see behind most politicians when they give a speech. That was great. There was some good shots for the fight that you saw in the trailer. There were some good shots throughout this film that I appreciate. There were some cool set pieces in here. I don't want to spoil too much, but there were some cool set pieces and fights and action scenes in here where you kind of stop and you take it all in, and you're like, okay, this is a high budget, Marvel movie. They put some money behind this. It was enjoyable on that front. Most of the actors in here care, and you can tell, which is nice. Anthony Mackie, nothing bad to say about him. I don't think that he was given much to do in this film, unfortunately, but he gives a very sincere performance, and you can tell that he cared. Harrison Ford, I don't I don't know where I got this idea in my head that he was like tired of making movies or whatever the hell, but he turns in a really heartfelt performance in here too. And I'm like, hey, you know what I mean? Han Solo is really trying to, President Han Solo really cares about being in this movie. Oh my goodness. The actor who plays Isaiah Bradley, I want to get this man's name right. Carl Lumlow, I believe. Hold on. Carl Lumley has always turned in a wonderful performance as Isaiah Bradley. And he does so again here. This man, whenever he's on screen, bro, he is likable. He is sympathetic. You just want to give him a hug. Like, there's so much emotion in his delivery, and I love it, right? Like, he is so just, he feels real. Like he feels like somebody who's been through a lot, and you can tell it translates through the screen, and I'm here for it. Anthony Mackie also has some emotional beats, as I said before, but yeah, those were the real standouts. I'm trying to think of anyone else who really gave like a solid, memorable performance. There are a couple other people, but they're spoilers, so I can't talk about them right now. But for the most part, there were solid performances here. Unfortunately, that's kind of where I have to draw the line about the things that I liked, though. Excuse me. Hydration is key. So, why can't I feel like I smacked my lips like 4 times. Anyway, all right. So the bad things that I didn't necessarily enjoy about this movie. First thing, sound design. I think there may have been an issue with the sound design, especially for the first action set piece, or it was done on purpose and it just went over my head. But when Sam is throwing punches and throwing the shield and really kind of mixing it up with the bad guys, I'm used to hearing it. Like, I'm used to hearing thuds. I'm used to hearing body impacts. I'm used to hearing people really feel like they are getting hit, right? Nah, not here. It's missing here, and I could tell within the first 10 minutes of the film that was something that I felt like should have maybe been addressed, especially because we are transitioning into another iteration of Captain America who doesn't have powers, right? The biggest thing, the plot was meh. It really boils down to like 1 or 2 sentences stretched out over, what was the runtime of this? It didn't feel too long, but it was probably closer to 2 hours than 90 minutes. What's the runtime on this thing? Runtime. 1 hour and 58 minutes. I was correct. Yeah. Yeah. This wasn't like a blink and you'll miss it kind of thing. This, no disrespect to the writers. Also, I would wager to bet that this was one of the last things written before or immediately after the writer's strike, because the plot is very much, okay, now we're here. Okay, now we're here. This set piece, this is quickly resolved. And there's a lot of, there are a lot of plot holes along the way. A lot of things that, okay, so if you're ever in a movie theater with me and you ever watch a movie with me, I don't hold back. Like, I don't talk during the movie if I can help it, right? I don't blurt out things, but I will make faces. And sometimes if there are things happening in the film that don't make sense, I'll go like this to the screen, like, what the fuck just happened? I probably did this like 4 or 5 times. Like, what the fuck is this? So, you know, that to me is a signal of like a not strong plot. And of course, you know, this isn't the universal "your movie sucks" gesture or whatever the case is, but I'm just saying, like, I shouldn't be doing that during your movie if it's well written. So yeah. Another reason why the plot sucks, and another reason why this isn't necessarily the best or strongest movie, there's a ton of exposition here. There is a ton of exposition here. There's no room for the audience to figure things out on their own. And I get that everybody's not a comic book geek and not everybody's understanding each and every reference and all that stuff, but still, like, something will happen in this movie, and then immediately after, a character will say out loud what you're supposed to get from what you just saw. And I get that this movie is made for a younger audience. It's a comic book film. But it just isn't. It tells more than it shows, and that's a problem for me. So, unfortunately, yeah, it relies a lot on outside forces to work, right? So there are a lot of tie-ins from a lot of other Marvel projects that you should have been caught up on before you come here. It doesn't stand alone on its own very much at all, actually. And there are we're still in the multiverse, so there are a lot of cameos here. And unfortunately, the cameos are, one in particular is probably one of the best moments in the film, to be honest with you. And that is a shame. What else? Sam Wilson, Anthony Mackie's character, Sam Cap, isn't built like that. Unfortunately, and of course that's part of his character, right? Like, he didn't take super soldier serum, aka steroids. He's 100% natty. He's 100% natty, but unfortunately, it plays against him. There's one particular scene where he's fighting one dude, and he kind of gets handled. And at one point, I literally burst out laughing because Sam was getting his ass handed to him. And that's not necessarily the best thing, unfortunately, if you're trying to root for a protagonist. So, yeah, that was also something that kind of, I don't know. I understand the realism of his character. He's more grounded. He doesn't have the magical, mystical blue juice. But, nah. And then the last thing, I think, the subtext in this film, they get it out of the way pretty early, but the subtext is too little and it's too forced. I'll get into that more in the spoiler section, but once again, just if you haven't seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier, just think of the "you need to do better" senator speech or whatever, like how half-assed and half-hearted that was. Just that, but in a movie, and you'll get the picture. I don't know, man. Either you're doing it or you're not. That's what I need, for real. Yeah, man. And I want to share with you guys, before I get into the spoiler section, I want to share my favorite part of the entire night, right? So it was actually when we were leaving the theater, but not for the reason that you think. So as we were leaving, we throw the popcorn and stuff away, and there's a couple standing outside of our auditorium. I'm assuming it was a gentleman and his girlfriend, gentleman and his date, whomever, right? And he looked at everyone leaving the auditorium, and he looked at our faces, right? And I love black people, man. I love us so much, because he dead ass was just like, damn, nobody looks happy coming out of this shit. He said, I'm scared. Bro, I actually was cracking up in the lobby of the movie theater. He was like, oh, fuck. He's like, y'all look mad as shit. So that was the best part of the night for me. Yeah. Overall, it was a very forgettable movie, unfortunately. It felt like a stepping stone movie in the way of like Thor: The Dark World. Not as bad as Thor: The Dark World, but the biggest thing we got out of Thor: The Dark World was the ether, right? So it felt like a stepping stone movie, and I honestly say that it's not something you have to go out and see immediately, right? Like if you're wondering, if you're down to like your last $20 and you're like, should I spend it on this movie or should I go, I don't know, get some Chipotle or whatever? Honestly, you might be better off getting Chipotle because it's gonna be on Disney Plus in like a month or two. Yeah, man. I don't think that you have to rush out and go see this. It was kind of meh, hot pack of mid, whatever you want to call it. Wasn't terrible, wasn't amazing. So that's just kind of where I stand on it.